Welcome to my class. I am Pamela Jasmine. Today I am going to teach a poem, a doctor's journal entry for August 6, 1945, written by Vikram Seth. This poem describes the destruction caused by dropping an atom bomb on Hiroshima by America during the Second World War. So it is in the form of a journal entry made by a doctor. So how people were muted and people were surprised by the sudden dropping of this atom bomb. It is described in the form of a journal entry. Let's see. The morning stretched calm, beautiful and warm. Sprawling, half-clad, I gazed out at the form of shimmering leaves and shadows. Suddenly, a strong flash, then another startled me. The speaker of the poem is a doctor. So he got up early in the morning, as usual. The morning stretched calm, beautiful and warm. The morning was bright and beautiful and very calm. Sprawling half-clad, I gazed out at the form of shimmering leaves and shadows. So he got up and he was only half-dressed, because he was from bed. So he was not fully dressed. And he got up and he stretched as usual. And the morning was so calm and beautiful. I gazed out at the form of shimmering leaves. Leaves were shining in bright sunlight and shadows. Suddenly a flash, a strong flash. Suddenly he saw a flash of light. Then another startled me. Then he was shocked. What was the light? There was a flash of light. I saw the old stone lantern brightly lit. Magnesium flares. Then he saw the lantern, that means stone lantern, shining brightly in light. That means it was lit up like. And he thought whether it was magnesium flares. Magnesium flares are seen during the war. So he asked himself, was it magnesium flares? While I debated it, the roof, the walls, and as it seemed, the world collapsed in timber and debris. Dust swirled around me. When he was debating, when he was asking himself whether the flash was of magnesium flares, at that time, everything collapsed. See, the roof, the walls, and as it seemed, the world collapsed in timber and debris. The world itself, all the buildings, the roof, the walls, and everything collapsed in timber and debris. That means scattered. See, they all the timber, roof and doors and windows and walls, everything collapsed, and it turned to debris. That means scattered remains of destruction. Dust swirled around me. Then there was dust everywhere. Dust was swirling around him everywhere. Then in the garden now, and weird, my drawers and undershirt disappeared. Then he was half dressed. He was in his undergarments, his underwear and undershirt, that banyan. This full dress, that means his undergarments, even his undergarments were disappeared. It got burned. Then a splinter jutted from my mangled thigh. My right side bled. My cheek was torn. Dislodged detachedly a piece of glass. See, then suddenly what happened? A splinter jutted from my mangled thigh. His thigh was wounded. A small piece of wood came out of his wounded thigh. A splinter jutted from my mangled thigh. His wound, a piece of wood or glass came out of his disfigured and wounded thigh. And my right side bled. So he was totally, his right side was bleeding, and my cheek was torn, and I dislodged detachedly a piece of glass. So his right side was bleeding, his cheek was torn, and I dislodged, that means dislodged detachedly a piece of glass. So he removed a piece of glass from his body, a glass piece from his body, all the time wondering what had come to pass. Where was my wife? Alarmed, I gave a shout. Where are you, Eko-san? So he was wondering what had happened. See, he did not have any idea. And then only he remembered his wife. He thought about his wife and he called out for her, Eko-san. That was her name. He called loudly. Where was my wife? Alarmed, I gave a shout. He shouted, he screamed. Where are you, Eko-san? Then he was calling her name, Eko-san. That was her name. My blood gushed out. The artery in my neck, scared for my life. Then he was a doctor. Then he knew how dangerous it was. He said the artery on his neck was wounded. That was cut. It was fatal. So it can cause death. So my blood gushed out. The artery in my neck, scared for my life. The doctor was scared because the artery in his neck was cut. I called out, panic-stricken, to my wife. Pale, blood-stained, frightened, Eko-san emerged. Then he was so scared. He was frightened and he called for his wife, and then suddenly Eko-san, his wife, appeared. She was also totally pale and blood-stained, frightened. She was also so frightened. Eko-san emerged. She came out pale and frightened and blood-stained. Holding her elbow, she was also wounded. She was holding her elbow. We'll be fine, I urged. Let's get out quickly. Then he consoled his wife. The doctor consoled his wife. He said, we'll be fine. Don't worry, we'll be fine. And then let's get out quickly. Then he wanted to get out of the house because he was not aware what was happening. So he wanted to see what was happening around. So he took his wife and came out of the house. Stumbling to the street, we fell, tripped by something at our feet. Then they came out of the house. They were they were not walking properly, stumbling to the street. They were about to fall, partially falling. They were stumbling and they came out of the house. We fell. Then they fell down. They tripped on something at our feet. I gasped out when I saw it was a head. Then they tripped on something and they fell. Then he looked at it. What had happened? On what they tripped? Then it was the head of a man. Excuse me, please. Excuse me. He was dead. Then somebody said, excuse me. He was dead. How did he die? A gate had crushed him. There we stood afraid. Somebody told them that he was dead. How? He was crushed by a gate. A gate had crushed him. There we stood afraid. Then they were so afraid, and they stood there scared. A house standing before us tilted, swayed, toppled, and crashed. Then in front of them, they saw a house was toppling and then tilted, swayed, and toppled and crashed. At first, the house was swirling and swayed and toppled and crashed. And fire sprang up in the dust. Then they could see fire in the dust. Fire was coming out of the dust. Spread by the wind, it dawned on us, we must get to the hospital. We needed aid. Then the fire was around them, and it was spread by the wind. The fire was spread everywhere by the wind. It dawned on us, we must get to the hospital. Then this fire was around them, and then they realized that they had to go to the hospital. They needed help. Get to the hospital, we needed aid, and I should help my staff too. He is a doctor, and he is thinking about his staff. He must be running a hospital or a clinic, and he wanted to go to the hospital, and he wanted to help his staff also. But he himself was wounded, and even his wife was wounded. And I should help my staff too. Though this made sense to me then, I wonder how I could. Then only he realized that he himself was wounded. How could he help his staff? My legs gave way. I sat down on the ground. Thirst seized me, but no water could be found. Then he could not walk. My legs gave way. He was not able to stand. He was not able to walk. I sat down on the ground. He became so tired and he could not stand. He sat on the ground. Thirst seized me. Then he was so thirsty, but there was no water to drink. My breath was short, but bit by bit my strength seemed to revive. And I got up at length. I was still naked, but I felt no shame. This thought disturbed me somewhat till I came upon a soldier. So he was out of breath, but bit by bit he revived his strength. He restored his strength, and he managed to stand up on the ground. And still he was naked, but he did not feel any shame. He did not have any feelings. That thought disturbed him. Why? Why didn't he feel shame? Even though he was naked, that thought disturbed him. Till I came upon a soldier. Then he met a soldier standing silently. Even the soldier was standing silently. They were, they were like a dumb show. They were not talking. They were keeping perfect silence. The soldier was standing there in silence. Who gave the towel round his neck to me. Then there was a towel round the neck of the soldier. The soldier gave that towel to the doctor. My legs, stiff with dried blood, rebelled. I said to Yokosen, you must go on ahead. Then he was not able to walk. His leg was blood stained, and it became so stiff. His legs became stiff and he was not able to walk. Then his leg rebelled. That means leg was so stubborn, like he was not able to move. I said to Yoko-san, she must go on ahead. Then he forced his wife to go ahead because he was not able to walk. At least she should go to the hospital and save her life. She did not wish to, but in our distress, what choice had we? But she was not ready to go alone, leaving him there. But there was no other choice. And she did not wish to, but in our distress, what choice had we? In that situation, they did not have any other choice. A dreadful loneliness came over me when she had gone. Finally, she had gone. But when she left, he was caught up by a dreadful silence. He became alone. And my mind ran at high speed. My body crept behind. He wanted to move. His mind was moving, running fast, but his body was reluctant to move. He was not able to move. And I saw the shadowy forms of people. Some were ghosts, some scarecrows, all were wordless, dumb. And he was not able to move. Then he saw people moving. The people were moving in a shadowy forms of shadowy ghost-like. They were not in their real sense. Actually, they were moving like ghosts. Where ghosts, some scarecrows. What is scarecrows? Human figures built with stick and all to scare the crow on the farms. We keep as scarecrows on the farms. So the people were moving like scarecrows, ghosts, and all were wordless, dumb. No one is talking. Everyone was moving like a dumb show. Arm stretched straight out, shoulder to dangling hand. It took some time for me to understand the friction on their burns caused so much pain. They outstretched their hands because if they were arms stretched straight out, shoulder to dangling hand. They were stretching their hand because if they keep their hands down, it will cause friction and cause pain to the burns. That's why they outstretched their hands. It took some time for me to understand. So the doctor was wondering why they were stretching their hands like that. Then he realized that if they keep their hands down, it would cause friction to their burns and it would cause so much pain. They feared to chafe flesh against flesh again. Those who could shuffled in a blank parade. So they were afraid that they feared to chafe flesh against flesh again because the skin was burned and flesh was seen. And if they keep their hands down, flesh will, scrub the flesh. That would cause it would cause friction and that would cause so much of pain. Those who could shuffled in blank parade. Those who could walk, they were walking like a blank parade. No one was talking. They were just moving like statues. They were moving like a dumb show. Towards the hospital. They all were moving towards the hospital. I saw, dismayed, a woman with a child stand in my path, both naked. Then he saw everyone was moving towards the hospital. Then the doctor saw a mother and a child. Both of them were naked. He was discouraged by that sight. Both of them were naked. And had they come back from the bath, I turned my gaze, but was at a loss that she should stand thus till I came across a naked man. Then the woman and the child were naked, and he was wondering. They looked as if they were coming out of the bathroom after taking a bath. Both of them were naked. Then I turned my gaze, but was at a loss that she should stand thus till I came across. She was standing just like that. This man came towards her, but still she was standing there. Then till I came across a naked man. Then he came across a naked man. And now the thought arose that some strange thing had stripped us of our clothes. Then only he realized that some strange thing. What was the strange thing? The atom bombs dropped by America on Japan, Hiroshima. Then that was the end of the Second World War and Japan surrendered. But the people, the natives, did not realize what had happened. They were thinking that some strange things had stripped us of our clothes. These human activity stripped them of their clothes. And the face of an old woman on the ground was marred with suffering. Then he saw an old woman. She was also affected and she was in pain. But she made no sound. Even though she was in severe pain, she did not make any sound. And silence was common to us all. Then everyone was keeping perfect silence. Nobody was talking. They became dumb and naked. And I heard no cries of anguish or a single word. Nobody was crying and they did not have any complaint. They did not cry out in pain or in complaint. Not a single word. They did not even utter a single word. That was the destruction caused by the atom bomb on Japan. Then people became naked, and their humanity was stripped off actually. And that was the end of the World War II. That's all about this poem. Thank you for watching. God bless.